So, Andrew, for the people that don't know who you are, can you please introduce yourself to the audience, man?
You know, every time I'm asked to do this, I have so many paths to choose because I've lived such an eclectic life, right? I can talk in 10 different directions to describe myself. So it's kind of difficult. I'm the thing I'm most proud of. My largest accolade is that I am a 4-time kickboxing world champion. I fought for Infusion, I fought for Glory, I fought for K1, 87 fights, 79 wins. And most of those fuckers who beat me, I beat. One of them escaped. And if I ever see him on the streets, on sight. But everyone else got a whooping. And that was a long, hard career. And it's kind of amazing where a lot of people ask me how I know the things I know. And fighting taught me a lot of it. Fighting taught me a lot about girls, a lot about business, a lot about the world. Taking fighting seriously, because I was never really a school guy. I never really went to school, never took school seriously. So I was always just trying to get some money and beat people up. And here we are, I got a bunch of money and I beat a bunch of people up. So life's going well. So that's it. 4-time kickboxing world champion, multi-millionaire, nice guy, don't forget that. Wudan master. That's how I introduce myself. I don't know what else to say.
AKA James Bond in real life.
You know, maybe a little bit. I watched the last Bond movie, spoiler alert. I watched the last Bond movie and I saw them kill him off. And they had to kill him off, right? Because what Bond was a pimp. And pimping is frowned upon in the modern society. And when I say he's a pimp, Bond spoke to my soul. Because James Bond's probably the only other person I saw out here in the world who was fucking for everything other than sex, right? Most dudes get a chick and they want to get sex to get sex. Bond gets a chick and he wants to get sex. So she tells him where the safe of the bad guy is. So she tells him about the bad guy because she's fucking the bad guy too. He's fucking her purely to get shit. He doesn't want to have sex. He's giving her sex to get something back. And when I watched that, I was like, man, that's me. That's my whole life. The world's changing. Men like me are no longer liked. We can't even be in fiction anymore, men like me. So if they're going to kill men like me from fiction, they're certainly going to try and kill men like me from reality, right? I have to be exceptionally careful. And when I say kill, I don't necessarily mean broad daylight assassination. What I mean is character assassination. What I mean is warping the minds of the public to the point where I'm a bad guy for being a heterosexual male who likes to fuck. Oh, no, he's a misogynist. Listen, if I was gay and I was out here saying, listen, there's no, I want any man I want, blah, blah, I'd be celebrated. Yeah. But because I'm heterosexual and I say, look, I like to fuck. Now I'm a bad guy, right? Facts. It's crazy. So they're just going to character assassinate. They're going to try and convince the world that anyone who is true to their masculine entity and the masculine imperative is a bad person instinctually. And they're going to, the people who exist like me, the very few that are left, we're not going to exist in a few more generations. I said the other day that any child who's obsessed with superheroes, that's a warning sign to the father. And the warning sign is that when I was a child, the only superhero I was interested in talking to or being around was my dad. Like if I watched Batman and I go to my dad and say, hey, did you see what Batman did? My dad would sit me down and go, fuck that, listen to what I've done. My dad was my hero in every way. I had no interest in fiction because I had a real life superhero. Until the day he died, I viewed him as a superhero. So my dad was an exceptional character and he raised me in an exceptional manner. And although there's too many stories to tell, the one thing my father was fantastic at was prioritizing the mindset of my brother and I above even his relationship with my mother. So, because there's so many dudes who end up being cucked out in their own household because they don't want to argue with the wife, and the sons see that shit. I was never raised around that. My dad would disappear to chess tournaments for 2 months. He'd go off, and my father was one of the best chess players in the world.
Right.
This is before like cell phones and stuff, right? So he'd call home twice a week, whatever. He's gone for 2 months. He walks in the door, my mom's like, Emery, where you been? It's been 2 months. I don't know where you've been. What is this? I've gone through your clothes. There's a picture of some bitch in your da-da-da. And my dad had been home for 42 minutes, and he'd just go, sorry, son, she won't shut up. Walked out again. See you in 2 months. Whoa. That's just who he was. He's like, I ain't sitting there taking shit off a bitch. That's it. I'm not going to take it. Doesn't matter if she's your mother. I love your mother. I love you. I'm not sitting there taking shit. And it's kind of like you grow up around that. And now when I come home after 2 months and she's trying to say, where you been? You've been in Fresh and Fit podcast. I watched the podcast. You with all them girls. I'm like, bitch, I'm going to go back to Miami, man. Shut up. So chess, I mean, obviously my father was a chess master, right? So I had to learn the game. He sat me down. I spent a lot of time learning it. And to this day, I have massive respect for chess. So much respect for the game. It's so much harder at that world level than people can even fathom. Unless you even play the game, you can't even anticipate how good these people are at the game. They're effectively computers. I don't think you can even be good at chess at that level without having something a little bit wrong with you. You got to be on the spectrum somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Because it's crazy how good these guys are. But yeah, chess is an amazing thing. I still play chess every day. I'm not world level or anything. I'm around 1750, 1800 elo. If anyone knows chess, that's what I am. But yeah, it
would that be considered better than average?
Certainly better than average.
Yeah.
You know, the average player, let's say, is around 1,000 or something.
Okay.
But my dad was 2,400.
Okay.
2,500.
Damn.
So yeah. So I'll give you an example. My dad could beat me without looking at the board. So my dad would be in the kitchen, fucking around the kitchen, cooking dinner. I'd be in front of a chessboard in the living room, and I'd say E4. He'd say C6. Knight F3. Knight C3.
God
and
damn.
boom, and he'd smoke me without looking at the board. That's how good the best chess players in the world are. Yeah, it's insanity. Yeah. But I do think it's a good basis for life. There's certainly a lot of lessons in chess. There's certainly a lot you can attribute to chess from everyday life to the chessboard. And I think it's a good grounding mechanism. I enjoy to sit down for a good couple hours, win some games, lose some games. Right. It's something I personally enjoy. So, yeah.
Can you tell us some of those life lessons that you learned from playing chess with your father and applying it into real life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you my favorite one first.
Yeah.
Please do.
My favorite one is the difference between the king and the queen. Right? Because the king moves one square at a time, and the queen can just zip across the board. Right? So you're here in Miami, you're partying in Miami. They got all these parties right now. It's Art Basel, blah, blah, blah. You see all these chicks on a boat. For the man to get on that boat, it's one square at a time, right? He has to get a good job. He has to get his taxes right. He has to find a way to leverage credit. He has to meet the guy who sells the boats. He has to go through all this shit stage by stage by stage to finally pull off being on that yacht and having that yacht at the age of 56. A chick, what does she need? Lip fillers? Boom. Zip. On. She gets straight on. That's the difference between the king and the queen. But although the king is slower than the queen, he's the most important piece, right? The king can't die. The queen can die. The queen, sometimes you can be looking at a position and go, this is fucked up. The only way out of this is to sacrifice that. Sometimes you can do